Let's dive into something a lot of you have been talking about. Netflix and demons and swords.
Yeah, Demon Slayer, possibly getting a live-action adaptation.
Exactly. And, well, you all seem to really into it, so we decided to take a deep dive into what we know so far.
And we've been seeing a lot of buzz, right? I mean, Netflix is, well, they're coming off of that One Piece high note,
Yeah, One Piece was really good.
but then there's, we're still kind of reeling from some of those other anime adaptations, right? Death Note.
Yeah. Death Note. Cowboy Bebop.
A little rough.
But before we get into all that, let's maybe do a quick recap of Demon Slayer for anyone who needs it.
Yeah, good idea.
So we're in Taisho-era Japan. Our main character is Tanjiro, and his family is attacked by demons. Tragically, most of them don't make it, and his sister, Nezuko, is turned into a demon.
Right, and that kind of sets our whole story in motion because Tanjiro, he vows revenge, and he sets out to become a demon slayer and, of course, find a way to turn Nezuko back into a human.
Right, and one of the things that I think really set Demon Slayer apart is it's the visuals.
Yeah.
Ufotable, the animation studio behind Demon Slayer, is known for their kind of poetic animation style.
Yeah, absolutely. They are masters of visual storytelling. They can take something like flowing water or fire and make it look almost, well, magical. And then when you add that to the fight scenes with the swordsmanship, I mean, it's mind-blowing.
Wait, hold on. Can you back up a little bit? For those of us who maybe haven't seen Demon Slayer, what's the deal with these breathing techniques everyone keeps talking about?
Right, of course. So basically, imagine a world where your sword fighting skills are tied to how you breathe. These breathing techniques, they've been passed down through generations of demon slayers, and they allow them to basically amplify their abilities.
Okay, so is it, like, are we talking superpowers?
Yeah, you could almost think of it that way. Each technique, it's tied to a specific element like water or flame or, something like that. And when a demon slayer uses their breathing technique, it creates these amazing visual effects.
So, like, if Tanjiro's using his water breathing, it would be all these, like, fluid movements, and maybe he could even, like, manipulate water.
Exactly. And it's seriously breathtaking. It's part of what makes Demon Slayer so unique.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that actually leads me to one of the big questions around this live-action adaptation, right? I mean, even after seeing what Netflix was able to pull off with the effects in One Piece, can they really bring that visual poetry of Demon Slayer to live action?
That is the big question, isn't it? It's a huge challenge.
I mean, I remember watching Tanjiro's, like, first real fight with a demon and the water breathing sequence.
Oh, yeah.
On the floor. It was so cool. It was like a dance, but with, deadly consequences.
It was incredible. And that really is just the beginning. There's so much more to come.
Yeah, so where do you think they'll start with this adaptation? Where do they begin?
Well, a lot of people seem to think they'll start with what's called the unwavering resolve arc. It's basically Tanjiro's origin story. We see the tragedy with his family, Mizuko's transformation, his training to become a demon slayer, all of that.
And starting with just that one arc would make sense, right?
Yeah, I think so.
It gives the story some space. It lets it breathe. It avoids that whole rushing thing that we've seen in other adaptations where they're trying to cram too much into, just one season. But on the other hand, I've seen some critics saying that unwavering resolve is a bit slow for live action.
That's an interesting point.
So do you think Netflix can keep it engaging while staying true to that slower pace of the source material?
I mean, it's definitely a balancing act, right? But I think the key here is remembering what this arc is really about. I mean, yes, it's about action and it's about learning to fight demons, but at its core, it's about loss, resilience. It's about the bond between Tanjiro and Nezuko. So for me, it's about making sure that emotional core is front and center in the adaptation.
Yeah, I see what you mean. So I think we can both agree that the visuals and the storyline are crucial, but what about casting? These characters are iconic, and fans are, well, they're pretty protective of them. I mean, what are your thoughts? Who do you think should play these roles?
Casting is everything, especially when it comes to Tanjiro and Nezuko. I mean, One Piece showed us that you don't need big names to make a successful adaptation, right? The actors just need to embody the characters.
Right.
So for Tanjiro, you need someone who can be both fierce and compassionate, someone who can carry the weight of, all that loss, but still have that unwavering hope. And then there's Nezuko, who, despite not talking much, needs to convey so much with just her expressions. I mean, she's strong, even when she's battling that demon inside of her.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Tanjiro was the heart of this whole story, right?
Yeah.
You have to feel his grief, but also his determination.
Exactly. And finding actors who can capture that, it's not going to be easy.
Not easy at all. And, well, we can't ignore the kind of the elephant in the room here, the need for authentic casting. I mean, there have been some missteps in the past, and fans are worried about that, and rightfully so.
Oh, absolutely. Demon Slayer is, well, it's more than just a story. It's part of Japanese culture, and Netflix needs to be mindful of that.
Exactly. So I think it's safe to say that fans have some pretty high expectations for this adaptation.
Yeah. They're a passionate group, and they're definitely not afraid to speak their minds. If Netflix gets this wrong,
It's not going to be pretty.
not at all.
But, I mean, One Piece showed that they're capable of handling a beloved series with care. They nailed the visuals. They mostly stayed true to the story, and the casting was spot on. So there's hope, right?
There is. I mean, the potential for this to be an incredible adaptation, it's definitely there.
It is.
And if they pull it off, if they nail Demon Slayer, I think it could solidify Netflix's spot as the leader in bringing anime to live action. But the pressure's on.
Yeah.
They can't mess this up.
They can't. They have to capture everything that makes Demon Slayer special. The visuals, the story, the characters. It all has to work together.
Yeah.
So out of all of that, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge?
That's a good question. For me, it's got to be capturing that emotional depth we were talking about. I mean, how do you translate that into live action? And then there's the challenge of bringing those visuals to life in a way that feels, well, that feels both real and fantastical. That's not easy.
That's a tough one. And it actually makes me wonder, what are you most excited to see in a live-action Demon Slayer, and what makes you the most nervous? Think about it.
Good question. I'm really eager to see how they handle the breathing techniques. I mean, imagine seeing those sword fights come to life on screen, but I do worry about the pacing. Can they really capture the heart of the story, and will they stay true to the source material?
Yeah, only time will tell. But I think we can all agree we'll be watching,
Absolutely.
maybe with a little bit of excitement and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of fear.
Maybe